is hard. This is actually probably the trickiest thing to get your head around, and stuff that you're going to do some inner work on, as well as some actual practical legwork. So why is this such a big deal? Basically because support and boundaries are two sides of the same coin, and without this coin, you don't get to have entry to a positive postpartum. If you don't have support and boundaries, it's going to be really, really hard to do anything else. It's going to be really hard to rest. It's going to be really hard to eat well. It's going to be really hard to have a successful breastfeeding journey. It's going to be really hard to recover in the way that you want to recover. It's just going to be hard. This is what makes everything else possible. I've said to you before that if you're not resting, then nothing else matters. But you need something to protect that rest, if that makes sense. So yeah, think of this as the way to actually make the positive postpartum happen in a way that looks good for you. So support and boundaries mean that you can actually rest, that you hopefully won't have to think about the household stuff, that your only kind of jobs will be to recover and get to know your baby and feed your baby, whatever that might look like for you. And you actually get to have this sort of protected, sacred bubble. So I really want to emphasize that it's not about getting things perfect, but it is about putting in the work now, because you actually only get one shot at this. You might go on to have another baby, you might go on to have 10 other babies, but you will only get a shot at this postpartum once. And then your postpartum the next time will be different, etc., etc. So it's not like it's makes doing this so important. I know that some of this stuff is going to be hard and uncomfortable. Asking for help in our culture is something that we've not been taught to do. We've been taught to, man up, keep on going, soldier on, do this on your own. But I'm here to tell you that you can't do postpartum on your own, and you will end up feeling very isolated and very unsupported, and that way does not a positive postpartum lie. I can't emphasize it enough. You need the support. I know that if you're anything like me and you are a capable person, maybe you've, smashed your study, you've smashed your career, you know how to put in the hard yards. That's what I thought. I can do, come on, it's a baby, what are you talking about? Like, this is fine, I've got this. You do have everything that you need for your baby inside of you, but you need someone to hold you too. So for every time a baby is born, so too is a mother. And we need to mother the mother as well, because you're going to be going through the biggest transformation of your life on a psycho-spiritual level, on a physical level, on a mental level. Like, your brain is literally changing. You need support. But what kind of support? I like to think about the tiers of support. T-I-E-R-S, not T-E-A-R-S, although tears do come into it. I want you to, I'll try and put up a little picture of this. It's in your booklet. If I can't make this work, let's see how well my video editing skills go here. Just pause for that. But basically, think of it like a rainbow. So we've got us and we've got our inner circle who are closest to us. Now, the inner circle are people who are very close friends, very close family, people who are really supportive of you, really reassuring, really encouraging, and will show up for you and really help. They're not the people who want to show up and just hold the baby for 4 hours and not bring any food with them. Those people I don't want in your space at all. But I want you to think about your inner circle. So a good test of who you want in your inner circle is, can I cry in front of these people and feel okay about it? And can I have my boobs out in front of these people and be okay about it? Because chances are you will. Your boobs will be out a lot in the first 6 weeks, And, you know, there's a fair chance you're going to be crying, and that's not a bad thing. Crying is a healthy way to release all of the big emotions that are going to arise. So have a think about it. I actually want you to write this down. So please get a pen and paper and write down. If you're, you know, driving or something, don't do that. But please just have a little think and write down who's in my inner circle, who will be able to come over and just really hold space for me, really listen without fixing. It's not, you know, the people who'll be like, well, have you tried this? And you know, we just want someone who's like, yes, I feel you. I know that fucking sucks. It's so hard. You're doing such a good job. And here I've, you know, filled your freezer with 3 meals. So that might look like your mum, but also your mum might be the person who triggers you. Hi, that's my relationship with my mum. So have a really close think about who those people are, and who you want in your space. These are the people who should be around for the first couple of weeks. Then have a think about the next tier of support, and this is your community. So this is people who are maybe family, but they're not as close to you. They're maybe, you know, friends who aren't super close, but or work friends or neighbors or, you know, people like that. So those are the people who we really want to harness to help us out in these first 6 weeks. They're not people who are coming around for 4 hours, but they're people who, like, if you've got a neighbor who you've got a good relationship with, then it might be someone who can be like, you know, would you mind putting the bins out for us just for the first couple of weeks? Do you know what I mean? Or if it's, you know, a friend from around the corner, is that someone you could be like, are you going to the shops today? Do you reckon you could pick up something from the chemist for me? You know? So if you don't already have those people, that community, I want you to start practicing now. I want you to start getting to know your neighbors. I want you to strike up the conversations. And, you know, chances are people will say, do you need it? Like, let me know if you need anything. That's where you go, actually, you know what would be so amazing? If you have any capacity for taking our dog for a walk ever, like if you ever want to take them to the park, that would be so, so amazing for us. Or, you know, if you're ever making double of anything, you know, I've heard that food is the most helpful thing, and, you know, we happily accept that. Now, notice what's coming up for you as I'm using these examples. How are you feeling about that? Does that make you uncomfortable? I reckon it might, because in our culture, we're not used to doing that. We're not used to asking for help. It feels like, oh my God, are they going to think I'm a pain in the ass? Are they going to think I'm a burden? Are they going to think that I'm weird, that I can't cope? This is all in your head. I say this with love, but it's all in your head. I hope the sound is okay. It is I just looked outside. I can't even see my view of the mountain because it's just total grey. It's raining really heavily here. Fuck off, La Nina. I hope by the time you watch this, we've got just sunny days. Anyway, yeah, so if you are feeling weird about doing this, it's not your fault. It's the culture that we live in. We live under late stage capitalism. We live under hustle culture. We live under grind culture. We live under, you know, a culture where we're expected to have 5 jobs and monetize our hobbies and all that shit. So I want you to be a little bit revolutionary and take back your power. Take back the power of community. Take back the power of support. You can do this, but you can't get through postpartum without support. I'm not kidding. And, you know, I can hear you probably thinking, because I know I've had clients myself, all of these, well, but I don't have that. I don't have that. Okay, what do you have? Do you have a friend from work who has offered to make you, who said, I really want to help, like, what can I do? Get them to help you. There's always someone, unless you have literally moved to a town and like a week ago. Even so, I want you to start building those connections now. Community can also come in the form of other mums. So I really want you to think about making those connections now in pregnancy. Find out who offers your local pregnancy services in your area. So I'm thinking about things like pregnancy circles, women's circles, prenatal yoga, prenatal Pilates, all the local government services. There's often a lot. Check out what the library does for babies. You won't be probably using that in the first 6 weeks, but it's very much worth knowing. If you're watching this in Australia, now I know states do different things, but chances are you'll be put in a mother's group. That's great. Those people are going to be your community. Now, mother's groups can look all different kinds of ways, and chances are there'll be people that you don't get on with and people you like. I just say give it a chance. You don't have to agree with everyone on everything all the time for these people to become your community, because there is something very much to be said about being at the same stage as someone else. Now, okay, say you don't, for some reason you can't have a mother's group, you're isolated from family and friends. What can you do? Well, thank goodness for technology. I know it's not the same, but what I want you to have a think about is joining some Facebook groups. There are so many Facebook groups that are fantastic out there. I'm talking about things like the Beyond Sleep Training Project, the Gentle Breastfeeder Facebook page. The Australian Breastfeeding Association has virtual circles. She Births does virtual circles. There's so many women's circles facilitators who offer virtual online circles. These are the things to start having a think about. And there's so many others. There's like Mama Tribe. There's heaps out there. There's also even just the due date groups. I got to tell you, I joined a due date Facebook group with Margot back in 2016, and those women were a real lifeline for me. I didn't start my mother's group, my real life mother's group, until Margot was 12 weeks old, because they had to skip a month because the facilitator had gone away. And I had one other friend who had a baby who was only 5 weeks ahead of me, and that was it. And those women became, I talked to them every single day in that Facebook page. And we became really good friends at that time. Well, I'm not really in touch with them anymore, but they were absolutely really good friends for that season and for a really good reason. They say friends for a reason or whatever. Anyway, so those do open your mind to that. Now, a caveat. If you are showing up in these spaces or online and people are pushing stuff on you, pushing certain ways to feed your baby, pushing any kind of sleep advice, pushing anything that you feel is kind of getting in the way of your intuition, have a think about that. So it can be that people are throwing this stuff out and you go, that's something that I think about. No, I don't like that. And that's a good thing, because that means you're getting stronger in your own intuition. So I don't want you to be like, they've said this, so therefore I'm leaving. But if it's becoming stressful to you and it's causing kind of anxiety, have a think about where you might find people who are more like-minded. So I think it's really important to feel like you've got like-minded friends and friends who do things differently, because we can all learn from each other. And parenting is such a bloody spectrum, and you don't have to choose one philosophy to really be into. I remember with Margaret at the start, I was like, right, I'm attachment parenting. Well, actually at the start I was like, right, I'm routine parenting. And then I was like, actually, she won't do that. Okay, I'm gonna cling on to attachment parenting. You can pick and choose whatever the fuck you want that works for you and your baby. So I guess what I'm trying to say is be open to people, but take no shit, okay? So we're still talking about the tier of community. I want you to have a think about a meal train. I want you to have a serious think about a meal train. How does a meal train feel to you? Do you know even what I'm talking about when I say meal train? Meal train is a roster of people who will bring food to you. So mealtrain.com is what I use and used in my second postpartum, where basically people will jump on, they'll see Naomi and Michael are having another baby. The best way you could help them is to drop over a meal. They like this, they don't eat that, they've got these allergies or whatever. If you could drop it off in an esky by, 5 p.m. at a day that suits you, and just text them when it's there. If they're around and up for visitors, they'll say hi. If not, we'll see you soon. It was honestly, it was the best thing I did for my postpartum in terms of preparation. And I've done all the other stuff too. I did all the other things, but that was what made the biggest difference. Between my freezer, 2 freezers being full, 2 little freezers being full, and a meal train, I didn't have to cook for 3 months. And Michael didn't cook for 3 months. We didn't even really do proper grocery shopping, we'd buy fruit and, milk and whatever, but people were bringing us dinners which would last for leftovers for lunch, and it was amazing. And it's not only that practical support, it's also that psychological support of you feel very held by your people. And it's a way that people can help without coming over and invading your space for 4 hours when you're really fucking tired. So I think really seriously consider the meal train. And if you're having those feelings of discomfort coming up, I get it. I also had those feelings of discomfort. And so what I did, see, I'm very good at giving advice, but actually taking it is another thing. Rather than ask all the people that I thought might be willing to be on the meal train if they would, I asked one friend, a good friend, I said, would you consider setting up the website for us and sending out the email to people? So she kind of coordinated it. And that just meant it was she was doing it for us, and it was I felt like it took that discomfort away for me. So I just gave her a list of emails. Now these were people who were good friends and family, but also people who were work friends who we felt, just people in our community who weren't necessarily our best friends in the world. But it just got sent out to them. They could opt in, they could choose a day that worked for them, and that was kind of it. Now you will have your freezer full of the optimal postpartum food. So this is more about supporting your family. So maybe you've eaten all the food during the day, but there's a dinner waiting for you there. So I don't want to be rigid and strict on oh my gosh, you have to tell them that they can only make postpartum appropriate food. Of course you can definitely give them guidelines, but I know that that's another level of discomfort. So I would just say if they're making you, a soup or whatever, just take it. Or if they're making you something that you go, oh, that's not the best thing to do, just take it. But you can absolutely say, anything, we love, warming comfort food at this stage of the game. You can say something like that. So that's meal trains. I really, really highly recommend it in case that's not getting across to you. And what you should do if you are doing a meal train, and I hope you are, is pop a sign on your door that says, Mama and baby are resting. Please text, don't ring the doorbell. And that's for delivery people, but also for anyone who gets tempted to drop by unannounced. So we're going to talk about boundaries in a minute, but we want to make it very clear to do with the meal train, in those instructions and also on the door. So, in the instructions on the website, please leave it in the esky by the door, and that's it. The other thing you could have a think about, which I think is really great for when partners return to work, is for that first week when they're returning to work, to kind of ease that transition, having someone visit you every day. So reaching out to 5 of your friends or family, or anyone that you enjoy having a cup of tea with, remembering that you are going to have your boobs out in front of them, blah blah blah, so we don't want the random neighbor from next door if you don't know them very well. But asking them, is there a day this week that you could you just come over for an hour and be with me? I'm adjusting to my partner returning to work, and it would just be so nice if I'd really love some company. I'd really love some company. So I don't think any new mother should be left alone when you're in that first 6 weeks. And I know it might not be practical to see someone every single day, but I do really think that in that period where your partners are returning to work, it's a really nice way to sort of ease into that. So if you can have organised for someone to come over every day, And, you know, either give you some protected rest, like hold the baby so that you can sleep, or just sit with you and let you cry. Hopefully they could bring over some lunch. You could say, you know, if you want to pick up some lunch on the way, all of that kind of stuff. So again, I realize that this might be uncomfortable for you and you might be going, oh, I don't want to bother anyone. But here's a bit of a mindset shift for you about all of this stuff. Have a think about how you would feel if your friend said to you, you know, my husband's going back to work and I'm a bit nervous about it and I just really love some company. Like, do you think you could come over? I don't know about you, but I would be like, yes, of course, like my pleasure. If a neighbor said to me, you know, I'm about to have a new baby, you know, is there any chance we could ask you to bring in the bins for us this week, or you know, walk the dog or pick up a bag of groceries? I'd be like, hell yes. And I know, yes, I'm a postpartum doula, so of course I will, but I think generally speaking, we all are happy to do things. Like, I'm not saying approach the mother who's got 3 small children and ask her to, you know, come over for 24 hours. Like, I'm not, you've obviously got to have a think about that, but there are always things that people can do. You know, that mother with 3 children might be like, I'll take your older children to the park with my children up the road. Like, have a think about what they can do. The other thing, I had it just in my head and it's just gone out of my head. What was I going to say? Yes, I've remembered. So if you have a lot of friends who, you know, maybe they work full time, maybe they live interstate, maybe they live overseas, maybe your family's overseas, that does make things trickier. I feel you. I do want to acknowledge that. There is a privilege in growing up with a kind of inbuilt village around you. However, as I was talking about, you know, your technology, I got off onto a tangent. I'm coming back to that point now. Can you organize a time to FaceTime with those people that you love who are maybe interstate or overseas? Or the person who's working full time, can they swing by after work with dinner and you guys just sit and have takeaway? And have a nice time together, and maybe they hold the baby while you have a nice yoga nidra or a hot shower or a bath, you know? If you've got people overseas but they want, like, include those people in your meal train because they can still buy you an Uber Eats voucher. Yes, it's not going to be ideal postpartum food unless you get Vietnamese pho, which is great postpartum food, but it's still that really helpful contribution to your adjustment as a new family. If you can get 3 weeks worth of a meal train or a month worth of a meal train, even 3 times a week, you are laughing. So definitely include those people and make a note. Like, you can, if you would like to contribute from afar, you know, Uber Eats or whatever it is, or maybe there's a postpartum meal delivery service where you are that they could chip into. You know, if you really don't have anyone else, I really think you need to consider a postpartum doula. Like, of course I'm biased, and I think everyone could do with a postpartum doula, even if you're surrounded by family. Like, one of my clients, she's Italian background and she's got a bazillion relatives, but no one who was there to listen without judgment, to just offer practical and emotional support, to kind of be there for her. Everyone was very interested in the baby and she knew that, which is partly why she hired me, but having someone who can be there just to be helping to fill your cup and help you adjust is really important. But it's even more so if you don't have anyone around you who can do that for you, or if the people around you just simply don't have capacity. So a lot of postpartum doulas offer one-off visits, which is a great option if you don't have budget. But I would really, if you can find someone who can be with you for the 6 weeks, that's the service that I offer, and someone who can cook for you, you know, that's really going to make a massive difference for you. Have a think about, like, if you do have family overseas and they can't be there for you, then have a think about how they can chip into a postpartum doula. You know, can you guys pay for a portion of it and they can pay for a portion of it? And maybe, you know, at your baby shower, you can say, you know, if anyone wants to chip in. So you're never alone. There's always services. There are also plenty of government services as well that you can access, because I never want anyone to feel alone. You're not. You just have to find it. And I think you absolutely need to start now. So start going to the pregnancy things, start aggressively making friends. I know it's fucking awkward. It's hard to make friends as an adult. But you guys have got lots in common. Everyone's in the same boat in terms of, you know, you're all going to be having a baby. You know, people are going to be on maternity leave. You know, you just want to find someone pleasant who you can go for a walk with. Like, if that's, it doesn't have to be a bestie for life, but that is, you know, something really important. We'll talk about how friendships can change down the track and all of that, but yeah, okay. So we've talked about your inner circle, we've talked about your community. Now let's talk about professionals. Because as well-meaning as your mother or your Auntie Jeanette is, they don't probably know about breastfeeding in the way that an internationally board certified lactation consultant does. No offense. My mum was a 1970s trained midwife, gave me some incredibly shit breastfeeding advice. Also, who's going to clean your house for you? Do you have a mum who likes to clean? This is the other thing to think about with community. How can we harness people? So you probably have tricky people in your life who trigger the shit out of you, and you kind of, you know that they want to help and maybe they mean well and their heart's in the best place. How can we harness those people? So do they love cooking? Great. Have a day when you're pregnant of cooking with them for your freezer. You can cook the stuff that or more. Is someone good at, do they like doing laundry? Are they really on top of laundry? Can they do your laundry for you? Can they take it and wash it and bring it back folded? Do you know what I mean? So that's in terms of community. But in terms of professional help, I think of professional help as the gap fillers. So where you don't have the close friends and community, professionals, which include a postpartum doula, are people who will fill the gap. So chances are you're not going to have someone who's an IBCLC in your community. You might, lucky you. Find one now. Who is your local IBCLC? Go on your local mum's Facebook page. Those things are fucking gold for resources. Go and ask on those pages. You know, who is going to clean the house? One of the very best baby shower presents you could ask for, or ask like a friend. Because if a friend's throwing a baby shower for you, your mum's throwing a baby shower for you, whoever, say, what I'd actually really love is a cleaner for the first 6 weeks. Can you tell everyone no presents, but they can chip into the cleaner? Like, I'm sorry, but you don't need another fucking onesie, probably. Also, we should be doing our bit for the planet and buying secondhand. I know that they're very cute and you're going to want to shop, and that's fine, of course, but you know, whose friends of yours have had babies that you can get some stuff from? Who can, you know, where can you buy the secondhand bundles off Marketplace? Honestly, babies grow so quickly. It's a shame to waste a lot of money and the Earth's resources on new stuff, and buy them a couple of cute outfits, of course. You know, I definitely bought plenty of gorgeous new stuff that I wanted, because you know, it's exciting and you can absolutely do that. But just have a think about, you know, ways that you might be able to kind of bring the secondhand situation into it. What was my point? The cleaner. Yeah, so baby shower gifts are great if you're like, I would actually like some vouchers for a food delivery service, or I would really love some vouchers for a cleaner. This is a much, much smarter plan than another fucking muslin swaddle. I know they're cute, but yeah, no. So things to think about as well. You know, do you have a good GP? Do they have a good reputation for working with mums and babies? I love GPs who are great, and then there's some really shit ones out there who will do things like tell you to feed your baby rice cereal at 4 months old, or can I just say, GPs have an hour of breastfeeding education when they're training to be a GP. So if you think that you're gonna go to a GP to get advice on breastfeeding, think again.
maybe some of them, you know, there's some amazing GPs who are also IBCLCs, Dr. Nicole Gale in Melbourne, Dr. Eliza Hannam in Sydney. I'm sure there's others out there, but chances are your average GP has had an hour of breastfeeding education, which is why you need your IBCLC. You know, who is on your support crew for your body and your mind? So do you have an osteo? Do you have a chiro? Like whatever jives with you. Who's your massage therapist? Who's your naturopath? Do you have an acupuncturist? You might not want to do all of those things, or you might want to do all of them. I wanted to do all of them. I had an amazing osteo who I would be seeing, you know, through pregnancy and prior to that. You know, there's plenty of different modalities, but what is it that feels good for you? Number one, you need to have some body work, whether that's osteo, chiro, massage, something of that. You know, maybe you love kinesiology, you know, but know who those people are now and try and have a relationship beforehand so that they're treating you now. I mean, all of that stuff is great for prep for birth as well, getting your pelvis ready, getting baby into optimal position, all of that kind of thing. So yeah, but a good GP is really worth their weight in gold, honestly. Psychologists too. We're going to have a whole, we have talked about mental health, and I talked about setting yourself up with a psychologist. That is a very important person to have in that third tier. So just to recap, we've got inner circle, we've got community, and we've got professionals. So I hope your pen and paper is busy going and your paper is full of ideas, because this is one of the very, very important key pillars to get you that positive postpartum that you deserve.